Welcome to Under the Moonlight, the Central Valley Chronicles, where local stories, hidden history, and a little bit of mystery come to life.
Whether you're here for the ghost stories, the legends, or the heart of California's Central Valley, we're so glad you found your way. I'm your host, Patty Shoy from pattyshomes.com.
And I'm Scott Sorensen from Sorensen Consulting. Together, we'll be your guides to the stories that linger long after the sun goes down. Tonight, we're kicking off Season 1 with the story that blends ghostly whispers and centuries-old mystery.
We walk through the history and mystery of the Central Valley. This is Under the Moonlight.
The Central Valley Chronicles.
The year is 1914, and Lodi, California is a farming town surrounded by sprawling vineyards and orchards. The evenings are cool. The air is carrying the faint, tangy scent of fermenting grapes. Gas lamps cast flickering golden orbs of light on the streets where the horse-drawn carriages rattle by, and the faint hum of distant trains echoes in the stillness. Lodi, with its rich history, has been the subject of various tales and reports of paranormal activity. Over the years, Lodi residents have shared various myths and legends that add to the town's mystique. These stories, passed down through generations, contribute to the local folklore and are a testament to the town's rich history. Lodi, often referred to as the Zinfandel capital of the world, offers several accommodations that celebrate its rich wine heritage. Lodi, with its deep agricultural roots and historic buildings, has its fair share of eerie legends. One chilling story involves what I call the Z Hotel. The Z Hotel, a once thriving establishment in the early 1900s that is said to still be haunted by the spirits of its past guests. The Z Hotel stood proudly in downtown Lodi, welcoming travelers, winemakers, and railroad workers passing through the region. Among them was Eleanor Hart, a young woman who checked into the hotel in 1914 under mysterious circumstances. Eleanor was said to be fleeing an abusive relationship, carrying a small suitcase and wearing an elegant wine-colored dress. Witnesses recalled her sitting alone in the hotel lobby, nervously glancing over her shoulder as if expecting someone to follow her. That evening, she retired to room 23, but she would never check out. The next morning, the hotel maid knocked on the door. "Housekeeping!" But there was no answer. When the staff entered, they found Eleanor's lifeless body on the bed, her face frozen in terror, her fingernails bloodied as if she had clawed at something in the night. Strangely, there were no signs of forced entry, and the cause of death was never officially determined. Some whispered that her strange lover had found her, while others believed something far more sinister had happened within the walls of room 23. Decades later, long after the hotel had closed and been repurposed into apartments, strange occurrences began to emerge. Tenants reported hearing soft sobbing in the hallways late at night, and some even claimed to have seen a woman in a dark red dress standing at the foot of their bed, only for her to vanish when they turn on the lights. One particularly chilling account came from a woman in the 1970s who was renting once been room 23. She awoke one night to the sound of scratching at the door. When she opened it, there was nothing but a deep, cold chill that seemed to seep into her bones. Moments later, her bedside lamp flickered, and in a dim light, she saw faint red fingerprints on her bedroom mirror that hadn't been there before. To this day, locals say that on certain nights, if you walk near the site of the old Z Hotel, you might feel an unshakable presence, like someone is watching. Some claim to hear whispers in the wind, while others swear they catch glimpses of a sorrowful woman in red, eternally searching for an escape she never found. For my ghosties out there, intrigued by all things paranormal, would you dare to spend a night in room 23? And who do you think killed Eleanor Hart?
Fast forward 16 years to 1931, when a band of robbers walked very similar footsteps to those of Eleanor Hart, only their pursuit was that of cash. On May 20th, 1931, the Bank of Lodi was infiltrated by 3 hardened criminals. At the center of this crime was James Red Callahan, a known ex-convict with ties to the criminal underworld of Stockton. Alongside of him were William Billy Smith and Frank Dutch Schultz, both equally desperate men looking for an easy payday. Banks were prime targets during the Great Depression, and this robbery was no exception. With $10,000 on the line, a sum worth more than $200,000 today, they were willing to take whatever risks were necessary. The robbery itself was violent and swift. Witnesses later recounted that the robbers pistol whipped a teller and brandished weapons to keep customers and staff in check. They knew they only had minutes before someone outside noticed the commotion, so they moved quickly, shoving cash into bags before making their way to the exit. As the robbers burst onto Pine Street, their stolen money in hand, the unexpected happened. A local mechanic named Henry Davis had been working nearby when he heard the disturbance. Now, Davis wasn't a lawman, just a hard-working citizen who had spent years fixing the trucks and tractors of the community. But when he saw the criminals escaping with their stolen cash, he knew he couldn't just stand by and let them get away. Without hesitation, Davis grabbed his shotgun, jumped into his truck, and took off after them. The robbers, now in their getaway vehicle, realized they were being followed. What should have been an easy escape was now a chase through the streets of Lodi. This was a real-life pursuit with a lone civilian putting his own life on the line to stop a gang of armed criminals. Then came the gunfire. Witnesses recall the sounds of shots echoing through the town, glass shattering as stray bullets ricocheted off buildings. Robbers fired back at their pursuer, but Davis refused to back down. It was a chaotic scene. Lodi's normal, quiet streets had become a battleground. The chase came to a head as James Red Callahan was hit by gunfire. Whether it was Davis's shotgun or a stray bullet from one of his cohorts, Callahan's escape came to a violent and permanent end. The stray bullet also struck a bystander. Margaret Thompson, a resident who had the misfortune of being at the wrong place at the wrong time, was hit by a bullet, but she was quickly taken for medical care and thankfully survived her injuries. With Callahan dead and the robbery foiled, Smith and Schultz made a last-ditch effort to escape. They slipped away in all the chaos, but their freedom was short-lived. Within days, law enforcement tracked them down near Stockton, where they were arrested and charged. Both men were convicted of armed robbery and attempted murder, and sentenced to life in prison. William Billy Smith died in prison in 1943, and Frank Dutch Schultz followed in 1947. This was a crime that rocked Lodi and would never be forgotten. What also makes this event stand out isn't just the crime, it was the bravery of an ordinary man. Henry Davis had no obligation to chase down 3 armed criminals. He wasn't a deputy or a marshal, he was a mechanic. But in that moment, when others hesitated, he took action. For his courage, Davis received a commendation from the Lodi Police Department. and his story became a local legend. To this day, his actions are a reminder that leadership isn't about titles or authority. It is about stepping up in moments of crisis.
Two stories separated by time and circumstances are woven together in the small winemaking city of Lodi, California.
Thank you for stepping into the shadows with us. To our night shift heroes, may your shifts be peaceful and your heart steady. And remember, the moonlight is always watching.
We'll meet again under the moonlight. Good night.